the Kenyan ambassador to the United Nations, Martin Kimani, gave a speech about the Russian incursion into the separatist parts of Ukraine, and he puts this in the context of post-colonial nations and how one should respond to imperialism in a way and regressive manners of thought that want to return to empire. I think this perspective is sorely needed, and it's very well said. Let's just take a listen.
Kenya and almost every African country was birthed by the ending of empire. Our borders were not of our own drawing. They were drawn in the distant colonial metropoles of London, Paris, and Lisbon, with no regard for the ancient nations that they cleaved apart. Today, across the border of every single African country live our countrymen with whom we share deep historical, cultural, and linguistic bonds. At independence, had we chosen to pursue states on the basis of ethnic, racial, or religious homogeneity, we would still be waging bloody wars these many decades later. Instead, we agreed that we would settle for the borders that we inherited, but we would still pursue continental political, economic, and legal integration. Rather than form nations that looked ever backwards into history with a dangerous nostalgia, we chose to look forward to a greatness none of our many nations and peoples had ever known. We chose to follow the rules of the Organization of African Unity and the United Nations Charter, not because our borders satisfied us, but because we wanted something greater, forged in peace. We believe that all states formed from empires that have collapsed or retreated have many peoples in them yearning for integration with peoples in neighboring states. This is normal and understandable. After all, who does not want to be joined to their brethren and to make common purpose with them? However, Kenya rejects such a yearning from being pursued by force. We must complete our recovery from the embers of dead empires in a way that does not plunge us back into new forms of domination and oppression. We rejected irredentism and expansionism on any basis, including racial, ethnic, religious, or cultural factors. We reject it again today.
I mean, really well said. What strikes me most is the phrase of looking backwards into history with dangerous nostalgia. Now, I mean, the continent of Africa and the nations that were drawn by the imperial powers that ravaged that continent know this better, know the consequences of empire better than anybody. And the United States is still behaving and has behaved as a belligerent empire in the present day, in the Middle East, and in terms of the covert presence in Africa as well. Somalia and other countries in Africa, the United States is still very much present. But the concept of looking forward and not yearning in regards to Russia and Ukraine for empire and domination because of the bloodshed that inherently entails is something that we all should heed. The borders may have been drawn, and very much in many cases were drawn recklessly, and there's no real way, especially in the former Soviet Union, to divvy up land in a way that's going to satisfy everybody. But how we move forward is by avoiding bloodshed at all costs and promoting national sovereignty and self-determination of all people involved is that's the best approach to international politics in my view. So I mean, that guy was the man.
I'm frankly interested in people that aren't the United States talking about this.
Well, right. I mean, that's perfect. Right, though? I mean, who understands the consequences of domination and empire more than African nations?